There is currently no production of flax for fine linen from seed to spinnable fiber in North America.
That's Heidi Barr, co-founder of the Pennsylvania Flax Project. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Harlock, and today's show is all about flax. Wait a minute, I thought this was the hemp show. Yeah, you're right, it is, but flax and hemp have so much in common. Both are fiber plants with long histories intertwined with our own. Plants we once counted on for so many of our basic needs. Plants that were almost lost in the creative destruction of the 20th century. Flax, like hemp, has a role to play in the 21st century as we move from extractive models of manufacturing to regenerative modes of production. As you know, I'm an advocate for hemp, obviously, and for many reasons. One of which is because I see hemp as a symbol of the important role that agriculture must play if we want to survive this century as a civilization. Hemp is a symbol of what agriculture can do for our climate, our communities, our economies, and flax harmonizes with all of this too. But I'm not just an advocate for hemp, I'm an advocate for agriculture and for my home state of Pennsylvania. Our future success depends on how well we can build resilient local supply chains, and today's show fits right into that. Furthermore, today's show is special to me because I recorded it in my neck of the woods, literally. The farm that I'm taking you to today is about a mile from where I live. It's my CSA. This is where we get our produce. So this is really meaningful for me because I'm taking you deep into the pocket on this show. I live in a magical place among the rolling hills, farm fields, and forests of northern Chester County. It's a hotbed of progressive agriculture, and I'm lucky to live here, and I don't take it for granted that I can feed my family from local farms. So anyway, today I'm taking you to a flax harvest event hosted by the Pennsylvania Flax Project and held at Kneehigh Farm. We're going to hear from PA Flax Project co-founders Heidi Barr and Emma DeLong, as well as a handful of attendees who were busy harvesting flax on a recent Saturday morning. We're going to learn about flax, a little history, some growing and harvesting techniques, and how the founders of the Pennsylvania Flax Project intend to bring flax for linen production back to Pennsylvania. First, we're going to take a quick sponsor break and then come back for a few nuggets of hemp news before diving into the flax. This episode is brought to you in part by Impactful Ventures, an investment and incubation company focused on supporting startups and other initiatives that play a vital role in mitigating the adverse effects of climate change. At Impactful Ventures, they strive to amplify enterprises that bring innovative, green opportunities to the forefront and empower those making a significant impact for a sustainable future. You can learn more at impactfulventures.org. This episode is brought to you in part by I&D Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. I&D Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven, and environmentally focused industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company, providing new opportunities for farmers and rural communities. Their mission is to provide innovative agricultural products and services to connect American farmers with the pioneers and businesses that see hemp as a way to bring real and lasting change to our communities and planet. Learn more at indhemp.com. Okay, welcome back. It's been a few weeks since we've done the news nuggets here on the show, but I've got a couple of stories for you and a few calendar items. This first story I read on hemptoday.net, and it's more of an opinion piece than anything, but I think it makes a lot of sense. It was written by Kurt Ryer. The headline reads, "To protect consumers, make CBD medicine only and restrict Delta-8 THC to pot shops." I'm going to read you a summary of it, and just as a disclaimer, I put the whole story into the Chat GPT after I read it, and I asked it to summarize it for me. Yeah, Chat GPT is my production assistant again. Anyway, the summary reads, "The proliferation of CBD stemming from the 2018 Farm Bill led to a market for Delta-8 THC, a synthetic marijuana product made from CBD. Due to the absence of federal regulations, states are individually attempting to manage CBD and Delta-8 THC. The Cannabis Regulators Association has called for a national regulatory framework encompassing all hemp-based cannabinoids. State actions include enforcing age restrictions and cracking down on illegal products mimicking popular children's brands. The slow response of the FDA regarding CBD and Delta-8 THC risks consumer safety. Delta-8 THC products should be regulated like marijuana, limited to licensed dispensaries, while CBD could initially be classified as medicine only until more research on its safety is conducted. The lack of a regulatory framework empowers profit-driven companies at the expense of consumer safety and hemp's reputation. All right, thanks, Robot. And that last phrase there, hemp's reputation. I'm going to read you a direct quote from the piece. It says that consumers have been at the mercy of dodgy CBD and Delta-8 THC producers for years. Operators in these subsectors of the broader hemp industry have done serious damage to hemp's reputation overall, causing fiber and food markets to also hit the skids. Yeah, it's a good point. The whole Delta-8 mess is so bad for the image of hemp and what the fiber and grain folks are trying to do. All right, in my personal opinion, I think all cannabinoids should be over in one bucket and all the industrial stuff should be in another. What do you think about that? I would love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, send an email to me. Send it to podcast@lancasterfarming.com. All right, climbing down off my soapbox, here's another story. This one's out of Idaho. I saw this on eastidahonews.com. It's written by Rhett Nelson. Rhett Nelson, that is a great hemp name. Anyway, the headline reads, Industrial hemp plant in eastern Idaho will soon begin production. And then here's the robot summary. An industrial hemp processing plant has launched in Thornton, Idaho by Whitefield Global Holdings. The plant, operational in a few weeks, processes locally grown hemp into industrial plastics, animal bedding, construction materials, and more. The processed hemp products will be used for animal bedding, construction materials like flooring and insulation, clothing, and protein supplements. Animal bedding accounts for 80% of production and offers benefits like extended lifespan and odor absorption. Local farmers supply hemp for processing with a capacity to process up to 30 tons daily. The plant aims to create new job opportunities and foster regional growth. All right, thank you, Robot. So they had an open house event there out in Rexburg, Idaho last week, which I was invited to, but I wasn't able to attend. So thank you to Whitefield Holdings for inviting me, and congrats to the whole team there. I am super psyched for what you all are doing. Okay, speaking of events, I've got a few calendar items for you. Next week, September 7th in Frederick, Maryland, Heart Hemp is hosting a field day. This is an opportunity to get an exclusive first-hand look at the development of the first commercial-scale industrial hemp farm in the state of Maryland. So I intend to be at this one, so maybe I will see you there. And then the following week, Cornell University is hosting a grain and fiber field day on September 14th at their Agritech campus in Geneva, New York. I also intend to be at this one, so hopefully I'll see you there too. And also, just quick side note on Cornell, I am currently putting together a Cornell episode, which will be all about Cornell's Masters of Professional Studies Hemp Sciences program. I'll be talking to some professors and some graduates of the program, and we're going to find out, what getting a master's in hemp is all about. So anyway, there you go. A couple of news items, couple of calendar items. You can find links to everything I mentioned on the show page for this episode at lancasterfarming.com. Okay, let's go harvest some flax with the Pennsylvania Flax Project. Heidi Barr, welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Could you introduce yourself for us, please?
I'm Heidi Barr. I'm the founder of Kitchen Garden Textiles and the co-founder of the Pennsylvania Flax Project.
All right, so what is flax?
Flax is the plant that produces linen. It's a bast fiber, meaning that the fiber bundles are on the outside of the plant, and that's where you get the fiber bundles that you would then spin into yarns and weave into the cloth we know as linen.
Can you talk a bit about the history of flax and maybe its importance in colonial America, specifically Pennsylvania?
Flax came to Pennsylvania with the settlers who settled Germantown in 1690, 1691. and it was brought from Germany and the Netherlands. Flax for linen was on every small farm. Everybody grew a half of an acre of flax for linen for their clothing needs for the year, even to the extent that if a woman was widowed, she might lose her farm, but she would be left that half an acre to grow flax for linen so that she could have clothing. In colonial America, it was an important textile. And then the pre-American history, flax was important in Europe for hundreds of years in the same way, and also in Egypt. If you go into ancient Egypt, they wrapped mummies in it. So the oldest known flax fiber, man-made flax fiber, was discovered in the country of Georgia, and it was 37,000 years old. So it's tens of thousands of years we've been collaborating with this plant to meet our clothing needs.
Why did we stop growing it here? I imagine it was like a homespun industry, and then was there ever an actual flax or linen industry in the U.S.?
There was a linen industry in the U.S. I am not clear on when the linen industry decreased in the East Coast. We still have some historians we're talking to about that research. It did wane during the first Industrial Revolution, partly with the advent of the cotton gin. The cotton gin made it faster to de-seed cotton and produce cotton, and also cotton was heavily subsidized with the labor of enslaved people, which flax never was. And so it sort of won the economic race. However, on the West Coast, out in Oregon, the last mechanical flax mill closed in 1960. And that industry, they had as many as 14 processing mills in the Willamette Valley of Oregon. The sort of second contraction of the industry was after the Second World War, when synthetic textiles came into being. Flax and hemp lost their military contracts for production, and then the synthetics just had a better marketing campaign.
Talk a little bit about how flax and hemp historically have been related.
I don't know how they were historically related. As fibers, they're related in that they're both bast fibers, and they both are retted, and they both go through the same steps of processing, although hemp has to be degummed, which flax does not. Hemp is a much larger plant, so it's larger in circumference and it's a lot taller, so they can't actually be mechanically processed on exactly the same tools. And even with the hand tools, a hemp brake is just bigger than a flax brake, but they have a lot of similar qualities in terms of finished fabrics. Hemp is a much rougher fiber. I'm very, very biased toward flax, so I don't have anything against hemp, but I believe that linen is one of the most versatile textiles there is. It can go from a very, very lightweight, like a lace or a handkerchief, to an upholstery weight, whereas hemp sort of sits at the middle to the end of that. You're not going to get a hemp handkerchief. It just doesn't get that soft. But if you want to put it in your car upholstery, you want it to be hemp. So, but yeah, they're processed similarly and they grow similarly. It's probably on the old farms where people were producing fiber out of both plants. Flax is a cool weather crop. It's an early spring crop, so you would have grown your flax early. You would have grown your hemp later, but you could have gotten both into the same farm. So they could have been in rotation with one another, because in terms of textile production, they serve different purposes. You would want both.
Tell me about the PA Flax Project and why it's important to you to bring flax back here to Pennsylvania.
Emma DeLong and I founded the Pennsylvania Flax Project in 2020 out of a desire to see a climate beneficial textile crop produced regionally. It just solves a lot of issues. The synthetic textile industry is the prime example of an industry that exploits both human labor and the natural world on a global scale. It's responsible for approximately 14% of greenhouse gas emissions in today's world, so it's a huge, huge issue. And crops like flax they're part of that solution to that. Flax is a 100-day crop. It fits nicely into rotation on a diversified farm. It's a low input crop. It doesn't require a lot of fertilizer. It doesn't require any pesticides, and it can be processed into spinnable fiber, and in fact all the way into cloth without the use of any chemicals. So we just feel it's really important not only in Pennsylvania, but everywhere to recenter textile production on regenerative farms and start producing our clothing in a way that's healthy for us and healthy for the planet.
Is there also like economic benefit for the region?
Absolutely. It's economically a good crop for farmers. Right now on the commodities market, it sits sort of around alfalfa and hay, so it's a good crop financially for farmers. And because it's a 100-day crop, they can get it in early. It's an early spring crop. You could get a cash crop and plant another crop afterwards. So it would benefit farmers in that way. But our model is also a cooperative model where the farmers would be part owners of the mill, and so all the materials leaving the mill earn money as well, and it's financially viable. And then you create jobs also at the mill level, so you create manufacturing jobs and sales jobs and administrative jobs. So
all the way up
it's
the chain.
All the way up the chain, and then you also are feeding into spinners and weavers. One of the really interesting things about Pennsylvania is that we still have yarn mills, we have weaving mills, we have cut and sew facilities. We used to be a thriving hub of fashion in Pennsylvania. And we have an intact but struggling infrastructure up the supply chain. But we don't have anything from seed to spinnable fiber. So without that first link in the chain, there's no industry. And the pandemic really, really pointed that out to those of us who deal with cut and sew. Like, I couldn't source materials. And so this is sort of like, well, we could be producing it regionally, and then we would have a complete seed to finished product supply chain right here in our state.
What are the short-term and long-term goals of the PA Flax Project?
Our short-term goals include education, teaching people what is flax. Flax is linen, and also teaching people that there is currently no production of flax for fine linen from seed to spinnable fiber in North America, and to educate about the benefits of revitalizing that industry. Well, our 1-year goal is to get a harvesting set so that we can get our plants off the field. We have farmers ready to grow. We need mechanical harvesting equipment to get our plants off the field, ready to go into a mill. Our 3 to 5 year goal is to have an operational long line flax scutching mill that would produce a high quality fiber ready to be spun into linen. And within all those goals is building out our cooperative model and building out our co-ops so that our farmer members would benefit from it, and to secure national and international contracts to sell the fiber.
What do you need most right now to help you achieve these goals?
Money.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Money. We need this year, our goal, well, first of all, Emma and I have been working for free on this for 4 growing seasons. We do not get paid. We have not been paid at all. We need money to staff up, for critical staff. We have a really huge groundswell of support. We have very talented people working with us for free. We would like to be able to start paying ourselves and to pay them. So we need the startup capital to staff up, and then we need some investment dollars to get our first harvesting set, which we need to secure this winter so that we can responsibly ask farmers to put a larger crop in the ground next spring and know that we can get it out of the ground for them. And then we're building out our capital stack. We're looking for investment money. We're looking for government grants. We're looking for investment dollars to build the mill.
How would you describe the flax plant itself?
The flax plant is very seductive. It's a very, very beautiful plant. The seeds are those tiny little shiny dark seeds, and you put them in the ground, and within 3 to 5 days you get a beautiful bright green stem with tiny, tiny leaves that go around and around it like a little floweret. And then as it gets taller, it looks very delicate, and yet it's incredibly strong. And that's because of the bast fibers in the stem that will eventually make the linen. It's a very tough fiber. So it's this, it waves in the wind, and it gets a beautiful blue flower on it, and it looks very delicate, but it grows straight and tall up to about 2.5 or 3 feet. And when it's in full bloom, it actually sort of looks like rippling water. in the field. It will start to bloom at 60 days, and it will bloom for about 2 weeks after that, sometimes longer. I think today we're harvesting a crop that's been in the ground for over 100 days, and it still has some blossoms on it. I see it as blue. Some people see it as purple. It's a periwinkle color, but I definitely experience the flax flower as blue. It's beautiful. It's very delicate. It's pale. It's like the sky on a sunny day. And then it's also funny to watch the bees on it, because bees love it, but they just basically obliterate every flower when they land on it. They like bumble into it, and then all the petals fall off. So, each flower only lasts 1 day. So it opens in the morning, it closes in the afternoon, and then it drops. The first year we had a flax flower dinner, which was hilarious because all the flowers were closed. So you got to have a brunch for that.
Can you describe this event today?
Yeah, we're having a harvest day, which is amazing. I think we have 15 people that came out to harvest, and they're just helping us pull the flax plants out of the ground by hand because we don't have that harvesting equipment. And that's very hard work, but it's always a really interesting group of people. We get a real cross-section of people who are interested in the textile, people who are interested in farming, people who just have never heard of flax for linen and think it would be a cool thing to do. We have our high school intern is here today. She's going into her senior year of high school and spent some time with us this summer learning about this. And it's just a really great way for people to get familiar with the plant and ask all these questions and find out about what flax is and how it's linen and how linen is flax, and that those cotton towels in your cupboards aren't linens, they're actually cottons. And that's really how, through events like this, is how we've grown this massive groundswell of support we have for this project, because people come out and they meet the flax plant and they also fall in love with it. So,
what's going to happen to the flax that you're harvesting today?
Most of what we're harvesting today will get retted on the field here, which is a process of controlled rotting that separates the fiber bundles from the rest of the plant. And then most of this will get saved, and we will use it at workshops throughout the year to hand process. We might manage to hand process some volume of it, and then Roan, who works with us on the project, is a spinner, and so maybe we'll actually be able to spin enough yarn to create, a $5,000 napkin. It takes a long time to hand process this stuff into cloth. Some of this will get sent to be tested for fiber quality with a company in Europe that we're working with, so that we can get like a high level standardized read on what sort of fiber quality we're producing now. As we start to scale, that becomes really important as it goes into the commodities market.
Can you describe the process of hand harvesting?
You pull the plant out of the ground by the roots. It has a very short root. It's only about, 3 inches maybe. And that's the traditional method. You pull it out of the ground, they say, to preserve the moisture in the plant for the next step when you're laying it down for retting, but also because the plant itself is only about 3 feet tall, so you don't want to cut it, and it has fiber all the way to the ground. So you want to preserve the full length of the fiber. The long fiber is what makes linen such a remarkable fabric. The long fiber is stronger, and it also, the longer the fiber, the more light a fabric will reflect. So silk is the most lustrous that you can make because the cocoon from the silkworm is very, very long. Linen is in that next category. That's why fine linen has not only it's a beautiful hand to it, but it has that luster to it. So that's one of the reasons you want to pull it out of the ground like that.
Can you tell me what a fiber shed is and why it's important that people should support their local fiber sheds?
Yeah, a fiber shed is a term that was coined by Rebecca Burgess in California. She founded the fiber shed movement, and a fiber shed is similar to a watershed. It's a system of interconnected ecosystems producing fiber in a region. So one of the big importances of a fiber shed is that you have a regenerative regional scale production of fiber. which is kind of the antithesis of what we have in the world today. What we have is a disconnected global fiber source, which exploits and pollutes. And once you regionalize those activities and you recenter it on regenerative farms, you're looking at plant and animal fibers, which is what all fibers are, unless they're plastic, which is what all polyesters are. And as you regionalize it and work within a fiber shed, you can produce in a way that's beneficial to communities, and it's beneficial to the environment, to the planet.
Is it fair to say that the sort of renewed interest and resurgence of natural fibers is being led by women?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I think the fiber arts are predominantly female, have been predominantly female until they were industrialized and became predominantly male. So when they got moved out of really being the art of producing and creating fiber and became the business of producing fiber, during the Industrial Revolution, it became very, very male. And I think the resurgence of the textile industry is sort of women reclaiming that industry, but also we're in a period in history where women can own houses and businesses, and women are in every room. And so we're just claiming that power, and we're revitalizing an industry that has been traditionally ours for the benefit of our community. And also, so much of small-scale farming is female. I think the small-scale farms are very accessible to a women farmer. They're a manageable size for us to do, and it is also another way to care for the community. And I think that's traditionally in our culture been women's role, and we are seeing bigger and better and ways to do that and having a huge impact. So I feel like the fiber shed movement is very female, and so is this. In the linen industry, everybody I know, is that true? Out of 9 organizations I work with in North America who are revitalizing the industry, there is one that's headed by a man. The rest of those are women. And that, I think, is not a mistake. So I'm really hopeful that most of us are thinking about cooperative business models. Most of us, all of the people I'm working with are working at a regional scale. So I'm really hopeful that energy is going to carry this industry forward in a really positive way.
I interviewed a fiber artist named Laura Sullivan in Vermont, and she uses the phrase, clothing is agriculture. Can you talk a bit about that idea?
Yes, clothing is either agriculture or it is oil. Okay, so I like to say to people, everything comes from the earth in one way or another. So you can be producing clothing agriculturally, which is through plant and animal fiber, or it's an oil product. And we really need to make the choice to produce our clothing as an agricultural product, because synthetic textiles made out of oil, slough microplastics into the water. They off-gas greenhouse gases when they're put in a landfill. They take 400, 500 years to decompose. They're horrible. But as an agricultural product, clothing is it's a positive feedback loop. So, and it is also kind of it's a powerful thing to realize that clothing is agriculture. That it comes from an animal, it comes from a plant. I always say textiles are incredibly intimate. Like, clothing is on our bodies all day long, every day, all the time. And to realize that it puts you in contact with the earth, one step removed, I think is a really great thing to realize. And I think if we can't embrace clothing as agriculture again, we're in trouble. We have to make this shift. I think that's part of why Emma and I decided to do this. We saw something we felt was achievable at a scale that would have a big impact, and that's so necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Hi, I'm Emma. DeLong. I own Kneehigh Farm, which is a small diversified vegetable farm in North Chester County. We grow on 4 acres and have also incorporated flax for fiber as well as indigo as a dye plant.
All right, so tell me about this event here today.
Yeah, so this is one event of several we've had at the farm where we invite people to come out and look at the flax crop that we have grown this season. We will then, after this harvest workshop, we'll do a processing workshop in about a month where we show people how to process the fiber by hand, using hand tools.
Okay, so from a farming point of view, like how easy or difficult is it to grow flax?
Yeah, so it's very different from vegetable production, but it is relatively easy. It requires very little fertility inputs. It requires little to no irrigation, depending on the weather conditions. And I think I weeded it. I cultivated it one time. Obviously, our crop is a little weedy, so it could have used a little more, but very minimal inputs.
Okay. What else should I ask you?
What else? Yeah.
Heidi was talking about the two of you forming sort of a co-op model. How's that going?
Yeah, it's an interesting process because we are a co-op now of 2 with the hopes of obviously expanding that. My main interest is in a growers cooperative, which would consist of many growers in one region that could, invest in the harvesting equipment, not themselves personally, but they could all utilize a piece of harvesting equipment, and then the ideal is that they would be part owners of this mill as well. It would be cooperatively owned, so they could benefit not just from the long line fiber of flax that's produced, but also the co-products. Stand up.
And this is Eddie.
This is Eddie. Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, this is Eddie.
Not so happy to be on our podcast. All right. Well, we'll try again, but I think we have.
Okay, cool.
Up there. Thank
Great.
you.
Awesome. He's like, hey, what's
Wanna
up,
say
microphone?
No. I'm doing some reporting for Lancaster Farming newspaper. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
All right. Well, first, what's your name?
Chloe.
Hi. What are you doing here today?
I am helping to harvest some flax.
Have you done this before?
I have not, but I'm a fiber artist. I do some knitting, so I'm really interested in where flax comes from. So this has been an awesome experience.
Okay, great. And can you describe the process of harvesting it?
Sure. So we're just going down the lines here, and we're pulling up from close to the base. So we need to pull out everything, including the root. And right now we're just separating out some of the fallen stuff that's a little curvy from the straight stuff, and we're putting it into piles. And once it's in those piles, it's going to be able to sit in the field and rut a little bit.
Hi. I'm doing some reporting for Lancaster Farming newspaper. Could I ask you a couple of questions? Sure. All right. Well, first, what's your name?
Laura,
And where are you from, Laura?
Philadelphia.
Okay. And is this your first time harvesting flax?
It is.
What do you think of it so far?
Oh, it's interesting. It's skinnier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of wearing and knitting with linen. So I thought, good to know where it comes from. And I heard a presentation from Heidi at the Philadelphia Guild of Handweavers. So that's how I found out about the Flax Project.
All right. Well, enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Just going right down the line. You, sir. Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I'm Todd, but I would love to defer you to my wife who knows all about this, and I know nothing.
All right. Well, you're doing something, though. What are you doing?
I'm pulling weeds.
Good enough. All right. And are you the woman he pointed to?
Yes.
All right. What's your name?
Anne.
Hi, Ann. My name's Eric.
Hi, Eric. Nice to meet you.
Farming newspaper.
Hey.
Lancaster Farming. I'm good. What are you doing?
Harvesting flax, so we pull it close to the roots, bang off any excess dirt, try not to bend it so that the fibers stay long and straight and don't break. And then after it's retted, which means it sits out in the weather until it starts to rot the outer hard surface of the flax, then it's processed. They break the outer part off and preserve the fiber on the inside. So right now we're just picking, harvesting.
Have you done this before?
Yes,
Where have you done this before?
here. I did it last year. It's the Citizen Scientist group that Heidi and Emma have. They're trying to bring flax back to Pennsylvania as an industry, but it's quite expensive to build the processing, the mill, so we do everything by hand.
Could you tell me your name again?
Ann Aycock,
Could you spell your last name?
Aycock. I'm local and I raise sheep close by, but I also grew flax for them to process. They do it in different areas around Pennsylvania and I think New Jersey. And did you grow flax?
I didn't.
No.
What's your name?
Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Have you harvested flax before?
Never. It's my first time.
What do you think?
It's a lot of fun. It's pretty easy to pull and it's kind of therapeutic.
Yeah, being out here is therapeutic.
All right, so what's your name?
My name is Alyssa Karyophilus.
That's a great name.
My dad is from Greece.
All right, so what brings you out to this flax harvest today?
Yeah, so I just moved to the area a couple months ago and am obviously trying to find some community, but also I sew clothing and quilt at home, just kind of for myself, and I use a lot of linen. So I was really excited to see this event and learn more about, where my fabric started.
And how's the process of harvesting for you?
It's pretty fun. I mean, I like being outside. I also buy all of my produce from Kneehigh Farm, so I was really excited to be able to get on the farm and kind of look around. But yeah, it's really nice to be outside and just kind of get your hands in some plants.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Janelle Wesak.
Okay, and what brings you out here today?
I am part of the PA Flax Project. I'm helping do the community project that we are taking the flax that has been retted and processed in various ways. So some of it's been spun, some of it's just raw, and we're weaving with it, and we're doing a community project. It's an international project. We're working with folks over in Scotland, and we bring out weaving looms to these events, and people sit down and kind of get to know each other and play with the material and touch it and see what it looks like. And I think the beauty of that is seeing all the beautiful different colors, depending on how long it was retted, what kind of variety of flax it is.
Okay. Will there be weaving demos today?
No.
Okay. What's the next
I don't
event
think
with-
so, because we have so much to harvest.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I'll let you get back to work.
Yeah, thank you.
May I interview you?
Sure.
All right. Well, first, tell me your name.
Roan Farnham.
All right. And what are you doing here today? What's your involvement?
I'm harvesting with everyone else. I'm part of the PA Flax Project. I've been helping run their Square Yard community growing project this year, and I do a lot of textile crafts. So I do sort of a lot of the teaching and demoing and stuff.
Okay. So this is not your first time harvesting.
No, it's easier than it was last year, but yeah.
Well, tell me about that.
Last year, it was planted in just a broadcast group as opposed to rows like this, and it was a bit hotter out, and I think it's a little more organized when you can pull it in rows, and it's also nice to have a lot of people helping. Yeah, definitely.
All right. How did you get involved in fiber?
I started with natural dyeing because I just thought it was so fascinating that you could get color from plants. And it just kind of went from there, because when you're dyeing, you have to have something to dye. And then you have fiber, and you're like, oh, I should do something that's fiber. So kind of grew, and I've been involved in farming in a while, so those two things kind of merge really nicely.
You know what Bob Dylan says? He who is not busy being born is busy dying. Do you find any truth there?
Yeah, I'm always busy being born. I can definitely find the truth in that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, of
Get back
course.
to work.
Thank you.
All right, so first tell me your name.
My name's Kelly.
Okay, and what brings you out here today?
Just interest. I was researching colonial methods of textile production, and when I found out there was nothing going on for centuries, I decided to look further. PA Flax Project came up, and I went down that rabbit hole and found that this was going on, and I'm just here to understand firsthand, because a lot of the textbooks I noticed don't give a thorough understanding of the process of like retting, scutching, heckling, all those terms. So I wanted to see for myself.
And are you a fiber artist yourself?
No, no, not at all. But I do love fabric and textiles. but I'm mostly interested in the production, like production practices, and then ancient production practices, how people did things by hand. So that's it.
Okay, and have you learned?
I have learned a lot. I learned that the woody structure is internal and the bast is external, which it doesn't say that in the books. I got an understanding of what retting is. The books say all different things, like it's the drying process, it's the soaking process. So out here they dry it with the grass dew, and it seems like I had no idea you could do that. I thought you had to like saturate it in a pond for 2 weeks, because that's what the books say. So yeah, I'm learning.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, the Pennsylvania Flax Project. If you want to learn more about what they're doing, or if you want to get involved, you want to go to some workshops, or if you want to just give them some money so they can do what they need to do, you can reach out to them on their website, paflaxproject.com. That's paflaxproject.com. So yeah, I'm excited for them, the work they're doing. I think it's going to be great for Pennsylvania. It's going to be great for agriculture, and it's going to be great for everybody. So anyway, my name is Eric Herlock. I am the digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. Get yourself a subscription, sign up for our hemp newsletter, do all the things there at lancasterfarming.com. including links to those calendar items and the news stories, okay? And as always, if you want to get in touch with me, just send an email to podcast@lancasterfarming.com, or you can call me up, leave me a message, 717-721-4462. All right, until next time, I will see you in the newspaper.
Industrial hemp.
Season 3, Episode 32 of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2023 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show was written and recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Herlock. The music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.